I'm going to talk about collaboration today. Or
I was going to feel just fine standing there.
Okay.
I think we should move the sign so they touch.
We're ready to roll?
Yeah, that's right.
You're good? Okay. Why don't we get started? Good morning, everyone. I'm Universities of Wisconsin President Jay Rothman, and thank you for joining us for this news conference today, and we hope that you're able to stay for the panel discussion that will follow shortly thereafter. Today I have some good news, and I have some bad news. As you may have heard me say before, Wisconsin ranks 43rd out of 50 states in per student funding for its public universities. The bad news is that we've fallen a level. We are now 44 out of 50 states. Compared to every other state, we are doing worse in public funding than we did last year. And last year was pretty bad as a practical matter, especially when all of our neighboring states were in the top 10, yet Wisconsin remains in the bottom 10. It is time to turn things around, and that is exactly what our budget proposal and further investments in the universities of Wisconsin would do right here in our state. Our budget proposal, which I am grateful for full support from Governor Evers, would get Wisconsin's per student funding up to the middle level, up to the average level in national rankings. If we are going to win the war for talent in Wisconsin, we are going to need to invest in our public universities so the next generation has the same educational opportunities that all of us in this room today have had. At first, I didn't think we could get any lower than 43rd. I was wrong. I'm starting to wonder, how low can we go? Other states are investing in higher education. Other states are trying to leverage their top educational assets. Will Wisconsin retrench? Other states want to produce more nurses and engineers and data scientists and teachers. And once we lose that talent, once that talent leaves our state, it is very difficult to get it back. We are 6 weeks away from the deadline for the new state budget. As stated, the UW's budget proposal would lift us up to the middle in terms of funding on a per student basis in terms of the national rankings. After years of neglect and a 10-year tuition freeze that was only recently lifted, we believe that is a reasonable request. But this is more than about numbers in a report. It's about providing the universities of Wisconsin the resources we need to fulfill our mission to improve lives across Wisconsin. Here's the good news, and this is what makes me an optimist. We have enthusiasm and broad support for our budget ask. Today we are sharing nearly 800 supporters that have sought further investment in the UWs, that have joined in our cause. Among them are prominent business and community leaders, 20 business and chamber organizations from across the state, and today's leadership standing right here, rallying to support the UWs to help us develop the talent that Wisconsin needs to be economically vibrant. These supporters are executives in some of the most significant companies and organizations across our state, of all types. You can read a list of the signatories on one of the TV screens in this room. The business leaders who support more investment in the UWs recognize what I did when I took my job in June of 2022, that the 13 universities that comprise the universities of Wisconsin are Wisconsin's talent generator, that our 36,000 graduates each year fulfill important employer needs, that our Wisconsin economy thrives when the universities of Wisconsin thrive. The communities all across the state are better because of our graduates. And as I said before, it is imperative that we win the war for talent in our state. And the budget offers us the opportunity to improve our competitiveness significantly. Wisconsin simply cannot afford to fall any further behind. Let's get up to the middle so that we can fulfill our mission by serving our students and serving the state of Wisconsin. Thank you. It is now my pleasure and privilege to introduce our host for today, Craig Dickman, Managing Partner of TitletownTech And Craig, we very much appreciate your offering this great venue for us today, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. President Rothman, thank you for coming here and joining us today to have this really important conversation that's really designed to engage community leaders from across the area to think about what is the future of not only higher education for the state of Wisconsin, but the bigger question that President Rothman raised, which is how do we think about competitiveness as a state? You know, so much of what we think about in our world of entrepreneurship and innovation is focused on how to create really exceptional here across the state, exceptional entrepreneurs, innovators, people working inside organizations, people starting businesses, finding ways to distinguish Wisconsin in a very competitive global marketplace. This is an important discussion. I'm really happy that we're going to be here to have and explore this discussion today, and more of the kinds of partnerships and collaborations that need to take place among the universities themselves, between the universities and the community, between the university and the business sector, between the university, the business sector, and the rest of the Wisconsin economy and society. It's an important discussion. The decisions that are made in these next 6 weeks, as President Rothman identified, are going to really play an influential role in shaping the kind of future that we're going to have. It's a time for us to lean forward, and again, happy that we're having this conversation today. It is also my distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Regent from the Universities of Wisconsin, but not just a Regent from the Universities of Wisconsin, somebody who's been a real community leader as the president and CEO of WBAY Health, and has really for over 15 years been the face and the standard of healthcare and the future of healthcare in this region. I'm also proud that Dr. Rai is the Chief Health and Medical Advisor for TitletownTech and has shown us what collaboration between the private sector and universities and an organization like ours focused on innovation can do. We are so fortunate to have a regent representing Northeast Wisconsin. We're even more fortunate to have an exceptional regent supporting Northeast Wisconsin, and I'm especially happy to call Dr. Rai my friend. So Dr. Rai, the panel is yours.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you, Jay. Thank you all for being here and for the press for being here as well. As Craig pointed out, I wear a few different hats in this community. So today I'll speak as the president and CEO of WBAY Health, but also a very, very proud product of the UW system. I went to University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Although I don't hail from the state of Wisconsin, UWM convinced me this was the best place for me to live the rest of my life. And I'm here because of the UW system. An opportunity coming in and just looking around the room at our headquarters today and realize that every single physician at WBAY who is in a senior leadership role has their roots in the UW system. So I went a little further and looked at how many nurses, how many staff, how many physicians all have their roots in the UW system. And what does that mean? That without a thriving UW system, we don't have a thriving healthcare system in Wisconsin. We're in a talent war for physicians, for nurses, and at many other levels within healthcare. And without the UW system, we would not have great healthcare here in Wisconsin like we do, especially here in Green Bay. So I encourage everybody to look at the statistics that President Rothman presented today. You know, being from the great state of Wisconsin, I never thought we'd be aiming for average, but right now, I think average will get us to where we need to be, and hopefully this budget proposal will be recognized by everyone as important for the future, not only of healthcare, but the entire state of Wisconsin. So thank you for being here, and we look forward to our panel today.
Thank you, Craig and Ashok, such great supporters of the Universities of Wisconsin. At the event today, you'll hear from representatives of key employers and business groups in the Fox Valley and Northeast Wisconsin describe how critical the UWs are to their business and to the regional economy. And again, I invite everyone here to stay and listen to them. And before we turn to questions, I'd like to recognize Barb Lemieux, President and CEO of New North, one of our co-sponsors here today, and I think Barb is behind me. Thank you, Barb, for being here. Regent Tim Nixon, who is out there somewhere. Tim, thank you for being here. and two of our great chancellors in the universities of Wisconsin, Michael Alexander from UW Green Bay. There he is. And Andy Levitt of UW Oshkosh. Thank you for being here today. And with that, we would welcome any questions that you may have.
You mentioned going from 43 to 44. What was that initial reaction, that feeling overall when you said, you didn't think you could go any lower, but in fact you did? What went through your mind?
It was disappointing when I found out that we had gone from 43 to 44. But what I'll tell you is, as I've crisscrossed the state and talked to people and said when we were 43rd, the audible gasp that I would get when I said we're publicly funded at a rate that is 43rd in the nation on a per student basis. And you could hear that from people who appreciate the importance of the universities of Wisconsin, the impact that it has had on their lives, the impact it will have on future generations. And I think that is the bigger issue in my mind, that Wisconsin being ranked in the bottom 10, other states around us are ranked in the top 10. That doesn't bode well for Wisconsin in the long term. And I think people appreciate the importance that our universities have and what they deliver for our state. And I think that's why I got that audible gasp. And I think moving forward, we're simply trying to get the message out. And that's one of the purposes of today's event.
And are you confident that you'll be able to reach that middle ground as well? Or do you have concerns that there might be issues with the budgets?
We remain optimistic that we can make our case and that the legislature will fund us. As I've talked to legislators, I think they appreciate, they understand the importance. They are supportive of higher education in our state because I think they understand the criticality. When you talk to their constituents, the constituents understand the importance because they're asking the logical question. Where's the next teacher? Where's the next nurse? Where's the next data scientist? Where's the next engineer? Where's the next business leader going to come from? And you hear it time and time again with the 36,000 graduates that we produce every year, how important that is to the state of Wisconsin. People are asking that question, and we're at the point where if we don't get that additional funding, we're not going to be able to maintain the level of excellence that that the universities of Wisconsin are known for, and that's why this is important. Any other questions? If not, thank you very much for being here.